I think you can really take any tune and jazz it up.
The feeling you get, being calm, confident, relaxed, excited, ready.
They did not paint for money. They painted for the love of it.
Today on Spotlight, harmonizing with a harmonica. Find out this group's famous member. Plus, meet a St. Louisan who was a Muny kid and a Mouseketeer. And then how SIUE uses technology to train athletes. But first, the story behind Ozzy's famous flip and other Cardinal baseball memories. It's Sunday and you're watching Spotlight.
The 1980s, the end of the Cold War, the debut of Big Hair, MTV, Pac-Man, and the decade St. Louis Cardinal fans will remember as Whitey Ball.
That's Roll Whitey and Roger Craig. Look at that, oh my!
Under the leadership of the brash and at times brawling Whitey Herzog, the Cardinals captured 3 pennants from 1980 to 1989, won a World Series, and lost 2 others.
1980, they were drawing just over 1 million fans. They brought in Whitey Herzog, and all of a sudden, over the 1980s, they were the best team in the National League. They had the best winning percentage in the National League for the entire decade.
Ozzy is going. The pitch is taken low and away. Davis's throw, safe.
Retired sports writer Dan O'Neill, who worked for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch for 32 years, says the 80s were pivotal for the Redbirds after coming off a lackluster record in the 1970s, which he describes as the lost decade.
Coming out of the 70s, they were kind of ripe for something fresh, something new, and certainly Whitey Herzog provided that.
O'Neill's collected 150 memorable moments in his new book, Celebration, The Magic of the Cardinals in the 1980s.
So all of these episodes come with about 3 or 4 paragraph vignette or short story about the event and what made it special.
Readers can relive Herzog's strategy to run the bases and steal them,
Safe.
his stunning trades, and introducing new players to St. Louis that are now household names, like Ozzie Smith, Willie McGee, and Bruce Sutter.
It was a totally different kind of baseball that the 80s Cardinals played. I mean, just for instance, they from 1981 through 90, they didn't hit as many as 100 home runs in a season. On the other hand, they stole bases. They stole over 200 bases 7 times during Whitey's his stay here, including 314 in 1985. Well, there was a game in 85, the Cardinals stole 4 bases on 1 pitch. They had Vince Coleman on second and Willie McGee on first. They were playing the Cubs at Wrigley Field, and Scott Sanderson was on the mound, made a pitch. Coleman stole third. McGee stole second behind him. Coleman slid past third. The third baseman, Ron Say, couldn't tag him. He got up, started for home, got in a rundown. Somebody forgot to cover home plate. Coleman turned around, ran home, and scored, and while he's doing that, Willie McGee stole third. So they stole 4 bases on 1 pitch. So you don't see that very often.
You don't.
They had Lonnie Smith, who came on board in the early 80s and was a catalyst for them. They had all these switch hitters, Willie McGee, Tommy Herr, Terry Pendleton, Vince Coleman, and they all stole bases, and they all ran, and they all put pressure on the other teams. And that's really was what Whitey had in mind when he came here.
Are there things you left out of the book that you wish you had included?
Oh yeah, sure. We're talking about an entire decade of baseball and a lot of really successful baseball. And the book has about 150 vignettes or episodes that I thought were the top stories or memories of the decade. There are a lot of other ones. You could have 150 Ozzie Smith highlights from the 1980s. I still think he's the only baseball player I've ever seen that was actually worth the price of admission just by himself, because he could go 0 for 5 and still do something defensively that would just, make your eyes pop out, and he was that kind of a player.
So where did the back flip come from with Ozzie?
The backflip actually started in San Diego. The San Diego media relations guy at the time talked to Ozzy about it right before they played their last game of the season as just kind of a treat for the fans, and he did it in San Diego, and then when he came here, it became kind of a signature. There are a lot of things that couldn't go in the book. The book would have been an encyclopedia if I'd have tried to do that. So what I just tried to do was grab the things that I really thought were the most unforgettable things, and they're not all home runs or highlights. To me, one of the things in the book is the day Mike Laga hit a ball out of the stadium. It was the only ball ever hit out of Busch Stadium. It was a foul ball.
This ball might be out of a ballpark, and it is.
And the fans gave him a standing ovation. You know, the other thing, Victoria, that I really love about the book, and I think is a highlight, is I got a hold of all these players and asked them for a memory. And I didn't try to dictate what it should be about. They could talk about a particular event if they wanted that was in the book, or they could just give me their own favorite memory. And that produced some pretty interesting stuff.
To hear more stories O'Neill couldn't fit in the book, text Cardinals to 31996 to watch the full interview or download our Talking with Authors podcast.
HEC Media presents Talking with Authors, the podcast. Your favorite writers and genres with diverse subjects and styles. Like New York Times bestselling author Brad Meltzer, crime writer Karen Slaughter, Charles Fishman, Sarah Kendzior, Judy Blume. With new podcasts dropping bi-weekly. Subscribe to Talking with Authors wherever you get your podcasts. From HEC Media, Left Bank Books, and the St. Louis County Library.
What famous St. Louisan played the harmonica? Here's a hint. That's right, Stan the Man Musial. The love of the harmonica has a long history, as the Gateway Harmonica Club can attest to. With over 100 members, this harmonica band has been playing together since 1987.
Our mission is to entertain people first. We have a certain demographic we play to, which is older adults, and play music from a lot of music from the 20s, 30s, 40s that they usually remember fondly, and brings back a lot of memories for them.
The club plays 50 or more gigs per year and had the honor of playing at Busch Stadium on a very special night.
There were 7 of us that played the national anthem opening day for the Cardinals in 2013. And that was right after Stan died, Stan Musial, who was a member of our club, by the way.
Please welcome the Gateway Harmonica Club, of which Stan Musial was a lifetime member.
Our biggest crowd, 47,000 people, I believe, so that was a little intimidating, but we nailed it.
They played for the love of music.
We all enjoy the old standards, and they, like they say, they don't write them like that anymore. And just seeing the smiles on the faces of the people that we play for.
And also for the love of community.
We play for fun, you know, and then what we do make goes a good causes, you know, 6 different charities we got now, and that's the fun of it.
When I learned about the club, I was impressed that no matter how poorly you played, everybody welcomed you and applauded no matter how lousy you were.
You can take it anywhere, you know. Like one plays in a grocery store while his wife's shopping. You have to like music, that's all. I just enjoy it, yeah. I'm glad I joined them, really.
To view the full story, visit hecmedia.org. Follow HEC Media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
For most kids, Disneyland is a wish list destination.
Julie!
For Julie Pekarsky-Probst, the wonderful world of Disney was her personal playground.
We did 3 shows a day, and 2 parades, 6 days a week for 13 weeks. And you know what? It was the most awesome childhood. You're in Disneyland.
The then 13-year-old from Webster Groves was paid to wear her Mickey Mouse ears, performing as a Mouseketeer.
Lunchtime, we'd get to go behind Space Mountain the back way and ride the ride like 3 or 4 times. And at night, we didn't even leave. We'd stay, I remember, and dance into Papa to Run Run. All right, then here's the basement.
But before Julie earned her ears, she put in years dancing and performing as a Muny kid.
And you would go in and do your little singing, your dancing, and then you'd wait all day long. They kept making cut after cut after cut. And I was 9 years old.
Her move from the Muny to Mouseketeer could have come straight from a Hollywood script.
She was 6 when she came in, and just a phenom, and very ahead of her time for her age. She really was. And you've always been special to me.
Here we go.
It all started in the 1970s when her mentor, dance instructor Janice Hawk, literally took her under her wing. The two remained close.
You taught me everything I know, and I mean that genuinely from my heart. You are my mentor.
Thank you. We heard about the auditions for the new Mouseketeer Club. So I called some of my friends that I worked with at Disney and said, where is this audition? I have this great little girl. Wait till you see her.
Julie was one of a dozen kids chosen out of 25,000 who auditioned to join the new Mickey Mouse Club in 1977.
I was one of those 12, and I will say, you know, life changed forever with that.
So it truly is thanks to your training at the Muny that you were cast as a Mouseketeer at age 13 from St. Louis.
Oh, yes.
Her Muny experience consisted of midnight rehearsals and touring around the country. That work ethic paid off when she arrived in Hollywood.
The Mickey Mouse Club, we filmed every single day. I would learn a dance routine and turn around and film it because the show was on every single day.
The show was canceled after a year, but the Mouseketeers continued to perform at Disneyland.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life.
Julie went on to play Sue Ann Weaver on the 1980 sitcom Facts of Life for 3 seasons. She reunited with fellow Mouseketeer Lisa Welshel, who played Blair on the popular sitcom. And Julie still keeps in touch with co-star Kim Fields, who played Tootie. During those teen years, Julie's mother made the move to California with her.
She, God love her, she kept everything.
Teen magazines fill her trunk of memorabilia.
Tiger Beat. Oh my gosh, look at that.
She recalls seeing the same kids at auditions.
Rob Lowe, Christopher Atkins from Blue Lagoon, Brooke Shields.
And going on a date with another aspiring actor named Tom Cruise.
I knew Tom Cruise before he was Tom Cruise, and I jokingly say, oh, you never know, Tom Cruise could have been your father.
I told you
Hi, Terry sent me, like I'm Julie.
Julie continued her TV career with guest starring roles on popular shows like Three's Company.
Hey, like, you look really mature for your age, you know?
Different Strokes and soap opera General Hospital. Modeling and national commercials also kept her busy. She recalls her first one for Golden Graham cereal.
You walk in this room and you sit down, and there's about 50 other blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls. Very humbling experience.
I drink Dr. Pepper and I'm proud.
And then there was the Dr. Pepper campaign with their memorable jingle.
And if you look around these days, there seems to be a Dr. Pepper craze.
I'm a pepper, he's a pepper, you're a pepper, wouldn't you like to be a pepper too, right? That one? So with David Nahn, that was a great commercial, good run. Got my car over my 16th birthday, and so I remember driving that on Facts of Life. From Taco Bell, our subject, the works combination platters. The question, which is your favorite?
And she'll never go hungry. She earned a lifetime of free food from Taco Bell for her role in increasing sales for the fast food chain.
And this is one of those little gold books to read.
And that's you?
That is me. And in here,
so cool.
that is me there. And what was great is, so with my children, I got to read books to them, and I was reading to them and saying that was their mommy.
Tutored on set, Julie worked with teachers from her alma mater, St. Louis's Villa Duchesne High School, to get her degree. She went on to graduate from UCLA. After college, Julie returned to St. Louis, and following a short stint as a local TV entertainment reporter, she married. Julie put her acting career on hold to raise her 3 children, who followed in their mom's dance steps, performing at the Muny.
All the home videos are of us, all 3 of us, just singing and dancing and running around.
It was also the hardest thing to do. I had to watch all 3 of them at one point on the stage at the same time. They all had to get equal time from Mom, you know.
Of course.
But it was wonderful, and they had a blast doing that, so I think that's a great memory.
Youngest son, Christian, is the only sibling pursuing an acting career.
It was so amazing to have someone who knows the business so well and knows what it is to be a performer and the vulnerabilities and scariness and excitement of it all. To have someone there to support you to do all that and to encourage you and guide you along the way was always so wonderful. And on top of all that, to be able to do it at a place where she grew up performing too was extra special.
Relax with some jazz later on Spotlight.
Monochrome art is a little bit like looking at black and white photography. It cuts away all the noise of color photography. Literati art in Asia, when ink monochrome is used, it really tries to pare down everything to the most essential and salient forms. Your mind then can wander and start to feel and experience deeper and deeper things. My name is Philip Hu. I'm curator of Asian art at the St. Louis Art Museum. Welcome to our new exhibition in Gallery 225. It's called The Monochrome Mode in East Asian Art. This is a rotating exhibition that will be on for about 6 months. This gallery is used to rotate works of art on paper and silk, which are light sensitive, so they can't stay on for too long at a single time. We have a wonderful work of art called Distant Road 2 by the Japanese artist Araki Mino. It was made in 1979 and was gifted to the museum by the artist in 2003. The painting is a bird's eye view of a landscape, something that is seen from a very high distance and a great distance. Everything is done in ink only on paper. And it's a very sort of misty and evocative painting. We have 2 ceramic pieces. They're actually the oldest pieces in the exhibition. One of the pieces dates to around the 11th, 12th century, and the other one dates to around the 14th century. Both of these are very beautiful. They're both Chinese. One of the vases has a design of lotuses, and it has sort of a white slip on it. The details of the design are scratched out through the slip and through the sort of dark glaze so that you can see different patterns. And the other vase is a rare example of a vase that has a stencil pattern on it of 5-petaled flowers. We think they're peach blossoms. The stencils were cut from paper and then they were put onto the vessel as it was being made. The glaze would not cover some places and cover others where the stencil is cut. There are only maybe 2 or 3 examples that exist today. The 3 hanging scrolls come from China, Korea, and Japan. The Chinese painting on view is by Wen Zhengming. It's a painting by a literati artist from the mid-16th century. In China, poetry occupies the highest level in terms of the arts, followed by calligraphy, and then followed by painting. So if an artist is able to do all 3 of these things in a single work of art, then the piece is considered to be what we call having the 3 perfections. So oftentimes, literati paintings, such as the one by Wen Zhengming, you'll see inscriptions and poems, often composed by the artist himself and written in calligraphy by the artist himself. The other painting from Korea is the brand new acquisition. It too is painted in ink monochrome, that is without any color. So it's a square painting of a couple of scholar officials with an attendant and a donkey in a landscape. So we're very, very pleased to be able to show this very first Korean painting to enter the museum's collection. The 3rd hanging scroll in the wide case is by a great artist called Hine Taizan. He lived and worked in Kyoto, the old imperial capital of Japan, and he too worked in the Chinese literati style. All the inscriptions that appear on the paintings have been transcribed into the characters in Chinese or Japanese, and also translated into English so that it helps our visitors get a feeling of what the artists were trying to express. Literati artists were not professionals. They had other day jobs. Most of them were scholar officials, so they worked for the government. They had bureaucratic jobs, so they had salaries. They did not paint for money. They painted for the love of it and for the idea of self-expression. Look closely at the art. If you only see these things from a distance, you're missing much of the exhibition.
Happening now at the St. Louis Art Museum through February 2021.
HEC has been bringing you positive programming and award-winning content for decades. Arts, education, culture, in-depth discussions, films, and more. All in one place, hecmedia.org.
It's not your typical batting practice, not for this former Southern Illinois University Edwardsville baseball player. Brock Weimer made a name for himself in the All-Ohio Valley Conference a couple years back. At that time, he also played a role in research development at SIUE. Whether he was up at bat or practicing as the Cougars catcher, Weimer upped his mental game using imagery-assisted virtual reality. After 5 months of doing this for a few minutes a day, Weimer said the imagery helped build his confidence. Before long, his stats improved, hitting 15 home runs, tying SIUE's single-season record.
He leads the team in home runs.
Believing in yourself and being confident that you can come through to get as close to you can as a simulated live at bat, it definitely helps as far as timing goes, because timing is, it's the most important piece of hitting.
Weimer and 21 teammates participated in this research study to determine if the player's confidence and performance would improve. SIUE sports psychologist Dr. Lindsay Ross Stewart is the principal investigator.
I came up with the idea actually through my teaching. I was teaching a class, an online course, and one of my students who I knew well posted about how he uses virtual reality in his marathon training. And then as we started to talk about it, I started to think about how important the imagery component would be, because my research area is the effect of imagery on confidence. So I started to think about it, and then the two of us created the program together. You can watch it in his dorm room. Perfect.
Here's how it works. To get the player's first-person perspective, she collects video using a GoPro. She also gets video of the third-person perspective, shooting from behind.
Each player was asked to download an app onto their phone, and those apps were free. And then once we made the video, they were able to, that app allowed them to take the video and turn it into something they could watch through the virtual reality goggles to make it that 3D whole experience.
Study participants were asked to put on the goggles as often as 3 times a day.
They could wake up, put it on, grab their bat, go through it, and then go on with their day, and then do it again right before they went to bed. The hitters all did it at practice.
First-person perspective makes it realistic as opposed to just watching like a video of yourself hitting. There was different pitches thrown because it was a live at bat, so you would have some pitches where it would be a breaking ball, and you would actually see that in your first-person view as opposed to just like a batting practice pitch.
It's not just about watching themselves play in 3D. It's the mental reps, which includes a guided imagery script, an audio track when the screen goes black, like this.
See a runner on third with 2 outs. Imagine you're at bat.
One of the amazing things about imagery is it really involves a person closing their eyes and having this full sensory experience, but also to have a response proposition, to also have a response to it, the feeling you get, being calm, confident, relaxed, excited, ready. And we were able to do that. We were able to put in each athlete's trigger words.
You are confident and ready to go as you move through the dugout to get your gloves.
For myself, it was really mainly just about relax and confident were the 2 key terms for me.
The study showed significant changes in the players' psychological practice skills.
We gave them a sport imagery ability questionnaire looking at if their imagery ability had increased. We gave them the TOPS questionnaire, which assesses how players use all different types of psychological strategies in practice, and also how they use those psychological strategies in performance, or how they think they will. And we looked to see the change. And what we saw was that the athletes who used the program had increases in their imagery ability, they had increases in their confidence in their ability, both in practice and in performance.
So Dr. Ross Stewart launched 2 additional studies using imagery-assisted VR for SIUE softball pitchers and goalies on the men's soccer team. Both had similar outcomes to the baseball study, proving the value of the technology for sports training.
The feedback has been unbelievably positive. People have been really interested because we are the first people to really look at the psychological components of doing virtual reality, and certainly the first people to combine it with imagery and how those 2 things can work together to really heighten the experience. So we've had a great feedback from people within athletics, people within virtual reality companies looking at the product.
You can find the stories featured in today's show along with past episodes and more at hecmedia.org/spotlight.
Let's fall in love, why shouldn't we fall in love? Our hearts are made of it, let's take a chance, why be afraid of it? Let's close our eyes and make our own paradise. Little we know of it, still we can try to make a go of it. We might have been meant for each other, to be or not to be, let our hearts discover. Let's fall in love, why shouldn't we fall in love? Now is the time for it while we are young, let's fall in love.
My parents are Turkish, and I was born in St. Louis. I'm a native St. Louisan. I started singing as a young girl, and it always came so natural to me. I had Turkish music playing in the house a lot, and also we had the American music as well. I played classical violin for 8 years. I was in the school orchestra, so I was exposed to a lot of music as a young girl, and I just loved to sing. Draw from my background and I think jazz is actually an approach to music. So I think you can really take any tune and jazz it up, which is what I like to do. I like to jazz it up.
Let's fall in love, why shouldn't we fall in love? Our hearts are made of it, let's take a chance, why be afraid of it? Let's close our eyes and make our own paradise. Little we know of it, still we can try to make a go of it. We might have been meant for each other, to be or not to be, let our hearts discover. Oh, let's fall in love, why shouldn't we fall in love? Now is the time for it while we are young. Let's fall in love, let's fall in love, let's fall in love.
Next week, it's called Baseball Heaven, and it's in the middle of a cornfield. We'll take you there. Plus, a best-selling crime author whose character was named one of the top 5 favorite detectives. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KPLR 11.